All right, so let's talk about creating a new document. As you will notice, when we go to File, New, we don't have files as we did in Illustrator or Photoshop. What we have is a document. We will explore book and library on later tutorials. So let's go to Document. And when the new document UI opens up, you will notice that it's very similar to Photoshop and Illustrator. Under the document preset, we can select one of our presets if we have saved one. Next is our intent. What is the purpose of this new document that we're creating? We have the options of print, web, or digital publishing. We're going to select print for now. In Illustrator, we have the options for the number of canvases. InDesign calls them pages. Now, notice that we can create multiple. We can type in, for example, 4. And we don't have to start on the first page. We can start on the second page, third, or the fourth page. For right now, we're just going to leave it at 1 page. After that, we have the page size. The page size should be very familiar because it's identical to that of Photoshop and Illustrator. We have the US standards right here, and then we have the European standards, and then we have some other ones at the very bottom, like US business card or compact disc. Below that, we have the size of our paper. We have the orientation, landscape, or portrait, and we can change the size here. Now, as default, you will notice this symbol right here, the P and the O. That stands for picas. Picas are units of measurements used in the publishing industry. Now, we can change that. I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to go to InDesign, Preferences, and I'm going to go to Units and Increments. Inside of units and increments, notice that the horizontal and the vertical settings are set up to picas. We can change that to inches. And once we hit OK, and we go back to File, New, Document, notice that now our width and our height have been changed to inches. Right below that, we have columns. I'm going to leave columns to 1 so I can show you what it is. I'm going to hit OK. And here's our new document. What you see inside here, from this side to this side, this is what a column is. I'm going to close this and create a new one. File, New Document. And let me change the number of columns to 4. If I hit OK, notice that now we have 4 distinct columns. Let me close this, create a new document. Gutter is the distance between columns. So let's say I type in 4 for the number of columns, and for my gutter, I leave it to the default of 0.1667. If I hit OK, these are the gutters right here. Now let me close this and go to New, and let me create 4 again. But in this case, for my gutter, I'm going to set it up to 0 inches. As soon as I hit OK, notice that there is no gutters in between my columns. All right, let's go back to our new document. Margins is the area outside of your column. So if I hit OK, notice that the area around our file is set to 1/2 inch. We can change the dimensions right here. By default, they're linked together. If you unlink them, you can change, let's say, the top one to 1/4 inch, and when you hit OK, notice that only the top has been changed to 1/4 inch, the rest 1/2 inch. The bleed and the slug are settings created for the printing process. So these are 2 settings that your local printer would use. The bleed is the area that extends outside of our document. For example, let me set this up to 1 inch. I'm going to hit 1. And as soon as I hit OK, because they're all linked, notice that we have this red rectangle around our document. The reason why we have the bleed here is because let's say that we have a photograph that we want to go right at the edge. We're not going to set it right at the edge. What we're going to do is we're going to create the object so it goes outside of the edge. Then once it's printed, what the printers will do is that they will trim this area right here around the page. It is better to do that than to set up your image right at the edge of your document and the paper doesn't go through the printer correctly. You may have like a slight line of white around the area. That's why you want to have your image bleeding outside of the paper and then allowing the printer to trim your paper to the correct size. The last setting is called the slug. If I set up a slug, let's say on the outside to, let's say 3 inches, and I hit OK, notice that we have an area right here with a rectangular border of light blue. This is the area where you're going to leave specific notes for the printers. This area right here is considered the outside. This is the inside right here. And then the top, of course, is the top, and the bottom, the bottom. So let me go to create a new document. If we select preview, as soon as we change one of our settings, let's say we do a bleed of 1, and then we click somewhere else, notice that this will give us a preview of what the page is going to look like. So if you don't know which one is the inside or the outside for the slug, you can come in here under preview and type in a number, and then immediately click somewhere else, and you will get the preview. So now you know that this is the outside, and then for the inside, if I typed in 5 and then click somewhere else, notice that we get a slug of 5 inches on the left-hand side. Now, once we have a setting that we like, we can always save this as a custom preset. You would go to this icon right here to save your document preset for future use. You can name it, and as soon as you hit OK, InDesign will save the setting, and then when you click on the document preset, your new setting will be at the very bottom. You can also select the custom preset and delete it. InDesign will ask you if it's okay to delete the selected preset. You hit OK, and there it is. And this is how we create new documents in InDesign.